Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is a big day. I just got back from the machine shop up in Denver. Once again, that is Madcap Racing Engines, I believe is their name. Yeah, Madcap Racing Engines and Machine. They did amazing work on everything. I'll take you through everything and show you what all I picked up. So first of all, we have the 4G63. Everything looks amazing on here. They even painted it, made it look nice already. Did a full deck on the top of the block here, and then torque plate honed my cylinders here, so it's still saying it's the same size. They just gave it a quick deglaze on there, so it looks nice. So that's normally not what they do, but they went ahead and did it for me. Everything here looks good. Just need a little bit of cleaning, which I'm going to be doing first thing once I get this thing on the engine stand. Crank is all cleaned up, freshly cleaned, and a full polish on here, so this is all refreshed. And then the cylinder head, as you saw before, I did go ahead and Cerakote this in a nice satin silver. On the backside here, they went ahead and did a full machine on there, so it is perfectly resurfaced. And it's all ready to go back together once I get it all cleaned up. So, first thing I'm gonna do is get my engine stand out of storage there, throw the block on it, and start cleaning that up. And then I'm gonna start measuring out some clearances. Not sure how much of that I'm gonna record because I don't exactly know how I'm gonna do it quite yet. I gotta look through some tools and see what I've got, because I thought I had more than I did. But we'll see, we'll find a way. I'm definitely gonna get this thing cleaned up, and I want assembly to get started. I'm not leaving today until I get at least an assembled short block, as long as my bearings are good in the proper size. So as long as all that works, then we're gonna have an assembled short block today. Full long block tomorrow is the plan, and then I want to start getting this thing installed either tomorrow or Saturday. Everything is all ready. I got the block cleaned up pretty well. I still need to clean up the crank a little bit more, but I just had to run out and get some shop towels for that, because I'm using actual like heavy duty shop towels for this, because these won't really leave behind fibers like a lot of the standard paper towels like these guys do. And I don't really want that in my engine, just because probably not the best for it. But I'll show you my organization here, because I'm pretty proud of this. Starting here, just have the block obviously. For the table organization, I have my crank, the mains, all my bearings, ARP assembly lube, regular assembly lube for like all the bearings, oil pickup, main bolts, main studs in there, all my brand new piston rings, and then just a full gasket set for the engine, transmission, and T-case right there. Along with a brand new roll of paper towels is going to stay on this unless I am actually using one. So yeah, just on to assembling this guy now. Let's get all the clearances set up and start recording again probably around that time. So I'm going to take all the bearings and everything, toss them in here. I want to do two things. I'm going to plastic gauge them first with the crank after I get this thing cleaned up, and see how they look there and compare them to my spec sheet. And then I'm also going to find and see if, I think I might have some more measuring devices over there for measuring engine stuff, but I'm not positive. I'm going to try and find something else just to maybe a little bit more accurate, just to be absolutely sure this thing all has the proper clearances so I don't accidentally kill this engine right after I had it rebuilt. Until everything's back.
Yeah, and you're taking it?
Yep.
Nice.
I'm just doing...
Vlogging, sorry.
I'm just doing a little time lapse on it. This is...
Time lapse this.
You're gonna be in the video. All my pistons are measured out, so they are good to go. The ringing gaps have all been set, checked all the bearing clearances, everything is perfect. All of my ring specs are right here on this table. I wrote it on a permanent marker, didn't really think about it, but I can clean it off later, it's fine. The next thing I want to do before I get into actually building this engine, which I'll probably throw into the next video just because I have a plan for it, I need to get my MyVec gear reassembled, because I had to pull it apart to make sure there's no metal in there, which there wasn't. But now I need to make sure I had to buy a seal for it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, so this is the next step for getting this engine prepped to go together. This is my MyVec gear. I've completely disassembled it using These are E8 bolts and then a 14mm Allen head. And then this guy here is looks like a 14mm bolt to take the gear off the cam pulley. So what we have inside here is the gear itself that has some adjustability, which I'm not going to be touching. And then you have the actual like variable valve timing portion in here. And this guy has this little like rotor in here with these little black pieces. Those, I'm going to clean this guy out just to be absolutely sure it's clean. However, I'm not going to be messing with these much. I'm just going to clean them up. And then we're just going to get it reassembled. And then this is the seal. You cannot buy this from Mitsubishi. It's one company that makes it. They're based out of Florida. I will link them down below. But this is it. So, I mean, this seal is like $40, I think. But, I mean, you don't have a choice other than spending $500 for a whole new gear, which I did not want to do. So this is your only choice if you want to replace this. As far as timing this goes, from everything I understand, it does not matter. This will be timed once the engine's actually running. So for now, I'm just going to get this thing cleaned up, get this put in here, and then the next thing we got to do is this little piece right here, I believe it's called the HLA. They do not make a seal for this, so your only other choice is to buy a Kigley one. However, I've seen a lot of people on the forums have the same problem where they just have this guy, they don't want to buy the Kigley because they don't necessarily need it. They just buy a gasket sheet like this from Velcro. I bought this at the parts store at Advance yesterday. Looks like the same thickness and everything, so I'm just going to make my gasket. So that's going to be the next project. But first up, let's get this guy cleaned up and get on reassembly. All right, so I got this guy pretty much all cleaned up here. This little oil galley right here is going to go in here, and then this square portion is going to be at this corner here. My witness mark on here on the inside of the gear went away after I brake cleaned it, but I did mark it ahead of time with just a box out here. So what we're going to do is I have not removed these little scraper guys. So we're going to try and keep everything all together here just like so. And then this seal is going to go on here. Just get it cleaned off real quick. This clover seal right there. Looking good. Look at that. Okay, and then I was reading online, you can go ahead and put a little bit of assembly lube in here, which I think I might do, just to make absolutely sure this thing is good to go when it starts. Probably don't need much, but you know, just something. Okay, so there's that. Let's get this thing squared up here. So this hole right here is going to line up with this alignment dowel here. So you can kind of just go like this. Let's see how this. Okay, so it should hold in there just fine. Keep a little bit of pressure on it, kind of square it up. I'm not sure on the torque spec on these. I'm going to look through my manual and see if there is a torque spec. If not, then probably just go hand tied on them and call it good. I could not find a specific torque for these guys, so I just brought them down to they're fairly tight just by hand here, just kind of doing this kind of thing. So you can see they take a bit of force to turn. Oh, it doesn't even want to turn. A little bit there. Oh, it doesn't want to turn either. So I mean, they don't have to be crazy tight. I did stick a cam in here just to verify this does still turn, which it does, so I'm good at that. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this bolt back in here for now, just so that way it's not going to get lost. I'm just going to throw this cap on here. You will need a new seal for this, which is this guy right here, obviously. So what I'm going to do is just kind of throw these in here like so. And the MyVec gear is ready for installation. So next up is going to be this little HLA. We're going to do quick removal of this screw, and the other bolts just bolted down onto the cylinder head. And then this is the gasket surface here. So basically all you're trying to do is this like machined part right here, just gonna receive a gasket. That's all it is. This is not serviceable technically by Mitsubishi, so that's why there is no gasket for it. But we're not gonna worry about that. We're gonna make a gasket. Hey, for my first time making a gasket, it came out pretty good. I've seen worse gaskets come from Apex out of the box. So with this guy, it's gonna go right in here. Went ahead and used some punches to knock out my bolt holes here. This guy kind of just made it fit. Kind of center side here. Put the screw in here. Tighten her most of the way down and make sure this is all lined up here. Make sure you're satisfied with it. Use that to guide a little bit. And then once you tighten this guy down, that really sandwiches this whole thing together. Like I felt that kind of pinch my finger a little bit. That, and just give her one more bit of torque. Done. This is ready to go back into the cylinder head. And my vac gear is all ready to go. We are making some progress. I think it's probably gonna be about it for stuff before I can start assembling the block. I want to get the transmission stuff prepped because I'm planning on getting everything in there at once I'm ready to go. So let's probably just knock out the transmission next. These last couple days have been kind of complicated with shit going on as far as things on this engine. So I'm gonna kind of go over what I've been doing. I've been building the engine slowly. I've been recording the videos gonna be coming out probably next week, as long as everything comes in on time. But I've just been running into problems with parts not quite fitting right or getting damaged or previous engine damage. So I'll show you what I mean. Sorry to talk too much about this because this is prepped for paint Cerakote now. Since I'm so far delayed on parts, at least it's gonna be till like probably middle to end of the week. But this is where my balance shaft was in here. Since that got chewed up when my balance shaft did this whole thing here, I had to do a very makeshift fix for that, which is basically just making a block off bolt for it, and I had to drill and tap this larger. However, even with that going on, it does block it off entirely, and if there is a little bit of oil that slips past it, it's just gonna like help keep oil pressure down, since I know this does create a little bit of an increase. This one's blocked off just fine. And then for this one here, when I actually need the bearing, I accidentally damaged that bearing trying to put it in here. Apparently all these are sometimes same size on the outside, but all different sizes on the inside. So that's a problem. Basically, they're supposed to be kind of idiot-proof, but the problem is if the idiot that's installing them isn't thinking about that, then they no longer become idiot-proof and they just become broken. So that's where we're at as far as the balance shaft delete. However, the entire rotating assembly, as you can see here, is all installed. All pistons, rods, crank, all of it's installed, torque to spec. Looks wonderful. But I figured since I'm waiting on these bearings to come in, so that way I can get that one, and I'm waiting on a tool for this guy here, and then also I'm waiting on a new bearing for this, because this isn't as clean. You can kind of hear it. This doesn't sound as good as I'd like. So basically all of this just kind of adds up to just saying like, well, I'm waiting anyway, I might as well just go ahead and Cerakote the block, because this is Cerakote Glacier Black. This little bottle is like 40 bucks, so if you use this, you have to like it. But I figure I'm like, if I'm waiting a few days anyway, this will give me enough time to get the block Cerakoted, make it look perfect, just follow the plan. Then everything will look perfect when it's all done, and it's not gonna have anything weirdly mismatched, except for the transmission, but I'm gonna work on that tomorrow with some of this aluminum brightener. I kind of tested it out on one of my oil filter housings. I'm not too impressed with it, but we'll see if I can do a little bit more tomorrow if I actually use a proper Scotch Brite. I just have to go get some. Go figure, don't have any of that. But right now, let's get this block cleaned up the rest of the way. I gotta get this shaken up, and then we're going to Cerakote this. I'm not sure if I've ever actually covered my Cerakoting stuff in a previous video, so I kind of go over what I use for the C-Series ones specifically, which are the air dry 5-day cure non-catalyst coatings, which are my favorite to use for simplicity reasons. Anyway, this is what I use. So I have the C-Series Cerakote, obviously. Again, this is pre-mixed. You don't have to do anything for it. It is air cure, but it is a long cure time. You absolutely need a respirator with this. This stuff smells nasty. You have to smell it to know it. If you've used Cerakote before, you know what I'm talking about. You're gonna need a mesh strainer. I believe this is a 150 micron for this one. And then this is the Cerakote gun that they send out of like their starter kit. It's Not bad, not great for something like this. I kind of like it, but I know there's definitely better out there. And then for cleanup, you just need some acetone, which I've gone through the better part of this. I might actually run out on that today, but I should have enough to finish off this project at least. So engine is all done. It's all cleaned up. Got it all prepped out, so that is good to go. So the engine's all good to go. The only thing I need to do now is open up this door, take my engine outside because I cannot spray it in here. Since this car is in here, I don't want to get Cerakote on here. I don't want to get more Cerakote on my parts. I don't want to get Cerakote on anything back here because that's just a bigger mess than I want to deal with. So what we're gonna do is bring that out there. I gotta turn the pressure on the compressor down to like probably like 30 PSI. And then we'll get this sprayed out, let it sit for like 10-15 minutes, just make sure there's no dry spots, and then it should be good to go. If not, I'll hit it with a second coat. I might just hit it with a second coat anyway, just to make sure. But yeah, that's the process. All right, to close out today's video, I'm just gonna go over how the results were for the Cerakote. Actually pretty good. And then also just one other little small detail that I'm doing just in the meantime. I'm waiting for a balance shaft bearing to come in and a bearing for my timing belt for the tensioner. And then also I ordered a tool at the same time just because it make it easier to install. So I'll show you the first thing. This is obviously a transmission transfer case. I didn't do a lot, but this is what it looked like with just some oxy acid. And then this is with aluminum brightener and a Scotch-Brite. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing just because I don't have the time or really the drive to do it. However, this, just like the highly visible parts here look really, really good. So if you wanted to commit the time to it, just getting some of this aluminum brightener from Napa will actually do quite a bit to your aluminum bits. And then I did a combination between a green Scotch-Brite and a gray one. Green being just, I think it's fine, and then the gray being ultra fine. And if you kind of take the high spots off with the green and then go over it again with the gray, it makes it a really nice, like, shiny finish. So highly recommend that. As far as the block goes, this looks amazing. It is a much more satin-like finish than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be more of a semi-gloss black, but it is not. It's just essentially just Cerakote blackjack. It's a little bit glossier here, but I think it's because it's a little bit thick there and it hasn't fully cured yet. But over here, it's like fully cured, like you can touch it, tap it, it's fine. 5-day cure time on this, so I'm not going to be messing with it much until then. Tomorrow I'll start the build on it, but I want to give it a full day to fully cure out and just be done, which is not like there's much I can do anyway. So I'm going to wrap the video up here. I appreciate you watching if you watched this far. Next week's video, which is going to be filmed probably tomorrow and the day after, is going to be fully assembling this short block into a long block. The head's back there. I've already started filming some of it, as you can tell by the rotating assembly being in here, which I had to do twice. Probably won't go into that, but balance shaft stuff. Actually, I did go into that. Short block assembled. Head's ready to go. Long block should be done by the time I get the parts in tomorrow. So I'm hoping I can get it knocked out before next week. I'm hoping I can get it knocked out in the next 2 days, and then hopefully get it in this weekend and have a first start video after that. So I appreciate you watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all the annoying YouTuber things. Share it with a friend. Share it with someone that's getting into a project. I've had a couple comments of people wanting to get into project cars, get into Project Evos specifically. They're expensive, but they're pretty cool. So buy a project car, make content, get out there. Thanks again.